Everyone loves some juicy SY softball hecky. It will only happen on Chronicles with Hank. Everyone's waiting for the next episode. It will only happen when we are in the car. Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles.
Hank first pitch to lead 8-3. Over. Hank to left.
How you doing? I'm Milo, Sutton, G&G Realtors. I support M&S Baseball League from before you're born. I'm here for commercial, residential real estate.
Introducing the UCEF Tab Card, a smart way to turn everyday spending into tuition support.
Welcome back to Carpool Chronicles with Hank, and we are up to episode 8. Can you imagine that?
Unbelievable.
8 episodes, and this is going to be a YMSL-centric episode because we are at the fever pitch of entering the playoffs, coming off the final week of the regular season. And I hope you all had a beautiful, meaningful holiday at home, and Shavuot was great for you. And this is going to be a Hank-centric episode. So buckle up and get ready, and I think there's going to be a few players, namely Jack Abady, be very happy that you're not going to hear me talking for the rest of the way. But that being said, I would like to give it over to Hank, and he's going to give his Week 7 YMSL takeaways, and that is brought to you by the Ohos, these beautiful sunglasses that we're wearing.
It really changed my life. These sunglasses.
That's it.
It really, because I do so much driving, and it's all during the day, and the sun is, right in my eyes.
You look mannish also with these glasses.
And it's a game changer.
Yeah. So Ohos, we love you. Use promo code SAM20 or Max20. Max for Max Yedid, by the way. And yeah, Ohos, we love you. Hank, without further ado, take it away.
Okay. So first, I want to go through quickly what happened in Week 7 and the playoff implications that it has before I do a deep dive into each team. We had 3 meaningful matchups. We had Plakata versus the Purple Cobras, who were already eliminated before Week 7. That resulted in a split, which ultimately knocked out Plakata, but it wasn't after that split. We'll talk about that later. Then we had 61s versus Stratton. Stratton got swept by the 61s in that matchup. Then we had the Tar Heels versus Big Red. That also had big implications. That ended up being a split. So what ended up happening was there was 2 6-8 teams. That was the Stratton Oakmont organization and Plakata. Tar Heels clinched with a 7-7 record, and the 61s clinched as well with their 8-6 record. Plakata went on to play the Stratton organization
in a playing game,
yeah, and ended up beating Plakata. Stratton ended up beating Plakata by a score of 7-2, I believe.
Now, you are obviously a part of the Plakata organization, or were part of the Plakata organization, and I mean, I want to hear, now that it's over for you, and after you go through the matchups, I would like to hear from you, and we didn't discuss this before the show. I want to hear from you the good, the bad, the ugly about that team, and what your takeaways are going into the following season, and also now that you're a spectator officially watching the playoffs, let it rip, my friend. You have nothing to lose. No more bulletin board material for other people.
Do I ever not let it rip?
I mean,
Sam? I don't care.
I mean, I've been told that they think Hank is reserved a little bit, and they think that he's scared of what people have to say about what he says.
Let's see about that.
So, like today,
I'll change that opinion.
yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, all right, so we'll get Plakata out of the way because we're the ones that got eliminated. Disappointing season all around. I think we got going very late in the season in week 5. We finally woke up after that week 4 performance versus the 12 Commandments.
You hit rock bottom there.
We hit rock bottom. We got a little pep talk from Gabe. Came in week 5. We played really well. We got the sweep versus the Heels. Then we came in the next week, the 61s. We got a great win in game 1. Game 2, we fell asleep. And then in week 7, Eddie Harari, we got news from him 4 days before game time that he had a baby girl, and we were really happy for him and all. That's really what counts in this world, you know. You have babies, you know. It's a great thing.
Peru Urbu.
Peru Urbu. It's a beautiful thing. It might have been Eddie's first kid, so that's huge for him.
But what does that result in on the softball diamond?
It results in no sleep, and I believe that we got the raw end of that as the other 11 guys on the team, and Eddie really came in as a catcher. I saw it right off the bat. He wasn't throwing strike 1. When he was getting behind, he had to come in with something slower, and he was getting shellacked.
You know what's funny?
He was making guys like Butchie and Juber look like Babe Ruth, you know, and Judge.
I mean, I asked you a question.
Shama looked unbelievable. Like,
I want to ask you a question. Sometimes when you come off no sleep type of days, sometimes you're dialed in because you're on adrenaline. But I guess for Eddie's perspective and Eddie's, I guess, way of attacking hitters, you need that focus. And it really was.
So
a problem.
Right before game time, he told me, "Get me Celsius so I can get." It didn't help him. It could be it made him worse. You need sleep. You need sleep. At the end of the day, you need sleep. God bless you, Eddie. I'm not pinning the whole week 7 on you, but a lot of it was on you.
Sounds like you are.
And no, because you know what? The defense wasn't that bad. And seeing all those walks, the bad walks versus the bad hitters, and not seeing your pitcher get ahead, it makes guys get on their heels in the field. And, you know, it makes it tough, even offensively, even though we scored 25 runs in game 1. When you see your pitcher laboring in the first inning in game 2.
You scored 25 runs in a game?
25 runs.
What?
Yeah. We definitely came with our bats.
Wow.
But then in game 2 and game 3, consecutively, Eddie walked 3 guys in the first inning of both games. And 3 runs or 4 runs scored in each of those innings. So how are you expected to come back as an offense and have a productive
it's tough,
pressing?
Right. Whenever
you're automatically pressing.
When you're behind the pitcher that can't get ahead of the batters, and you're always on your heels and on your toes, and the defense is still there, it shows you that Plakata really came to obviously want to win, but you can't overcome that by a pitcher sometimes. And listen, it happens. I mean, Eddie is also the author of one of the most amazing runs you'll ever see in 1-0 games and in extra innings and 13-inning games. I remember watching that a few years back, and he won the World Series last year. So you know what? He earned himself some slack, some leeway. But listen, this is definitely not one of the finer moments in his career.
We're going to be talking about what implications this has for Eddie going into next year. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him going into next year.
How about what
because he's going to drop a lot on the draft. We'll talk about that later in our power rankings.
So just a little editor's note for you guys at home. We have put together, Hank put together, a color-coded, full power rankings of every player in the league.
Yes, we'll be going through every single player in the league.
Now, will we get to it today? I don't know. It depends on the time, depends on the traffic. But if not, we'll get to it, for Monday's episode.
Yes.
Okay.
When we're in the car.
When we're in the car.
Okay, so as for the other players on Plakata, a lot of us played under our standards. I would say that the one guy that really outperformed his draft stock was Abady. He was incredible. I mean, the guy batted almost 600. He was picked in the 70s, or probably 75, I think. But everybody else slacked a little bit. Me getting picked 15 and batting 450 with a 650 slugging, it's not good enough. Especially since I don't make a huge impact in the field, which is the catcher / first baseman. I wasn't good enough. Listen,
Way to take ownership.
I'll take ownership for that. I was not good enough.
And what does that do for your draft stock going into next year?
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Guys like Gabe, guys like Mocas, Sully Esses also was incredible. So yeah, I mean we a lot of us underperformed, some of us overperformed, but the large majority of our team did not come to play from week 1, and as a result, we are not a playoff team.
Okay.
Let's move on.
I mean, listen, Cancun on 3, as they say, you know? So, like, goodbye, Placata. You had a nice, valiant effort. You actually made the playing game, but adios, muchachos. You are gone. And now you join the ranks of, who did make it? The Purple Cobras and Nanu Nation. You had the same result as they did at the end of the day. Maybe a few more meaningful moments, but that's about it. Now let's move on to the actual matchups that happened. I want to start with Big Red Machine versus the Tar Heels. I believe they split, right? They split.
So that was a split. Let's go through a couple of notes from that matchup and how each team is looking going into the playoffs. So Big Red came into week 7. They were a little cold. I think they lost 3 out of the previous 4 games.
Wow.
I think they played 12 Commandments in week 5. They got swept, and then week 6.
And that was the infamous.
They split versus a bad team. So going into week 7, they had the mindset of let's get hot. You know, let's come into the playoffs hot. Let's get back into that mode of what we were doing in the first 5 weeks of the season, first 4 weeks of the season, where they were 8-0. And they looked pretty good on Sunday. They really did. I mean, they looked like their old selves. What I saw, so the highlights came out last night. I was able to see what they did on the field. I'm seeing a lot of production from the bottom of the order on that team. And if they get that throughout the playoffs, they're going to be in really good shape because guys like Sammy Seruya, Alco, Elsak, those guys are going to be great.
Well, I know Elsak has been cooling off. I was looking at his numbers.
Yes, so Elsak has been hitting great the entire season, and he's been cooling off the past couple of weeks. But listen, they're going to need him. But like I said, the bottom of the order, getting them production is huge. Guys like Yogi and Charles. Charles, by the way, congratulations on winning the batting title.
Chuck!
That is huge.
Charles in charge, my friend.
Yes. I see that guys like Sammy Seruya getting a little fly ball happy, getting a little bit into Hank mode. You gotta shorten up and hit line drives. A lot of long, deep, hard fly balls, but they're outs now. The league adapted to you.
Listen, that shows the sign of a great player. If you see your deep fly balls are outs, now time to adjust. Go up the middle, hit the line drives, hit the gaps.
Defensively, Sammy is still the best in the league by a long shot. So
that'll always keep your team. If your shortstop is the best,
right,
it'll always, and you have an ace on the mound because Yedid is always Yedid. You're always going to be there as a threat to win every game.
Right. And then you have a guy like Alco who's really looking cozy, and he's getting comfortable after a couple of years. Last year was his rookie year. Last year was his rookie year. It took him a little bit of time to get comfortable, but now he's really looking like himself. He's playing a 6 center field. He's hitting the ball line drive,
Would you say he's looking like the version of Alco that played in the night league a few years ago?
Yes, he's looking very similar to that.
That's huge.
He's looking really good. He's running the bases. He's a real danger on the base paths. And a guy like that, you have speed at the top of your order. With Sammy and
they're a dangerous team, no doubt. They're definitely dangerous.
With the bottom of the order really hitting, and Maxi D doing his thing. And Maxi D, you know what you're getting coming in. It's never a question mark. A guy like Eddie Harari, you never know what you're getting. You're going to get the Eddie Harari on or the Eddie Harari off. Maxi D is always pounding the strike zone.
Well, you're really railing on Eddie Harari today, aren't you?
It's okay.
Bitter.
He knows it. I railed at him yesterday, privately also. But yeah, Big Red is looking really good going into their playoff matchups versus the 61s.
How about the Heels?
So the Heels, I was worried that they were going to get swept. I wanted them to get swept, actually, for our playoff implications. Turns out they got a really big split. They looked a little flat in game 1. In game 2, they got a lot of production from guys like Yaakov and Jack Abady. Those guys are getting hot at the right time.
Listen, if Yaakov gets hot, that team is on another level because Yaakov hasn't been hot all year. And if he's hitting those gappers, those triples,
Yeah,
and that just
it's funny.
lengthens their lineup.
It goes back to our Celsius talk. Yak was on the field. I came to his game, and he's like, "Hey, you have no idea. I drank this drink. I don't know what it is, Red Bull, and it's unbelievable. It woke me up, and I got a couple of hits." He was like all excited, you know. Yeah. So listen to the podcast. You get some.
He only listens. Listen, everyone knows Yak. He only listens when it's positive.
He only listens when it's positive, and he doesn't tell anybody that he listens.
Oh yeah.
But we know you're listening, Yak. So if they got Yak going, they need their top of the order. Jimmy, Yak. Jimmy's been hitting all year, by the way.
We know
Shout out
Jack listens to the pod, so maybe Jack handed him the drink. I'm thinking about that.
Very
now.
funny. I saw an at bat. Jimmy, basically on the backswing, he popped up in a big spot, and on the backswing, he hit Yogi's glove on the backswing. He's like, "Oh, catcher's interference!" What a loser! That's not catcher's interference, dude. You're always going to be called out on that. Don't do that, Jim. That's ugly, dirty baseball.
Whoa!
But you know what? The year that you had this year, after getting with a chip on your shoulder, being picked 30, God bless you. We'll talk about player rankings.
How's his
but
hip,
he
by the
really
way?
jumped.
How's his hip?
It was always a charade.
Myth.
It was a myth.
So why did he get upset that we were talking about it?
No, that was nothing. Moving on. So that's the heels. The heels, I'm a little worried about the bottom of the order. Teddy Ishak, something's wrong with him. I think he's injured.
Yeah, Ralph Hannon's hitting though.
Ralph Hannon in the 5 spot. That has to be mentioned. He's hitting line drive after line drive. He's looking very dangerous. God bless you, Ralph.
I want to
Mr.
tell you
Irrelevant.
something. You mentioned
He got picked 96, and look what he's doing.
I think he told me he's wearing number 96 next year. You mentioned Teddy's not hitting. Teddy will hit come playoff time. That's what he does. That's what he does.
I hope so for them. Teddy is always a strength at third base anyway. So wishing all the best for him. He's got to get going in the playoffs.
He will.
They
I
need
mean,
him.
we've seen it time and time again. He'll slump. Playoff comes, we'll get a big hit line drive up the middle, game winner. Like Teddy usually rises to the moment.
Yeah,
This one we've seen.
guys like IG was seeing a little bit of a cool off from Allen, cooling off a little bit too. Those guys need to be a little bit productive if they want to be successful. But the main onus is on the top of the order. Those guys have to produce. JT's got to come alive. Jimmy, Jack, Yak. Those 4 guys. Ralph's got to do his thing, and they'll be in good shape. AB Saka will always be a bulldog on the mound. They'll always throw strikes.
AB Saka is another playoff warrior, and he will always. It's funny. He'll always match the competition. So, like if he's going up against an ace, he's going to be ace-like. If it's going to be a 7-6 game, he'll be in that game. He's always in the game, AB.
Yeah.
And he's a battler as the biggest battler we know.
Yeah. The big question mark is who's going to get at bats. Is it going to be Mog? Is it going to be T.I.? Is it going to be JB? I guess the hot hand will win, and Jack Abady will make those decisions. But
That's why they pay
God
him the
bless.
big bucks.
Yes, and let it be known, I am rooting for the Tar Heels to win it all.
Wow.
I love that team. I love Jack. I love what he did with that team. Yak's my boy. Jimmy, my boy. I want them to win. I really like that team, and I wish them all the best.
You're rooting for them.
I'm rooting for
Are you
them.
going to choose them?
That's the next question.
We'll get there. By the way, we're going to have some predictions after this. Next up, we're going to move on to. We already
60.
talked about the Placitas versus Cobras. We already spoke about that. So Stratton versus 61.
Yes. So let's talk about Stratton first. So Eric Citron, he had an emergency. His
Bachelor party?
no, it was a little different this time. This time his grandmother passed away.
Hey. Definitely
Sorry about that.
Not a bachelor party.
No,
Don't go dying on me now.
sorry about that. So he wasn't there. That moved a lot of guys in their infield around, and their infield defense looked really bad in those 2 games versus the 61s. Going into that game 3, the playing game, I had Farka come over to me and said, "Hank, you guys got to hit ground balls. You got to test their infield. They haven't made a play all day." So, and I saw that in the highlights. A lot of grounders, even to guys like Uri. He errored a ball. Guys like Saul, he made an error.
I mean, their infield defense has been a question mark all
The whole
season.
season. Yes, the
So
whole
it
season.
continues.
So that continues. Then on the offensive side, you have Uri Adler keeps smashing. I'm seeing every single time there's a runner on third, he's shortening up, hitting line drives.
Is he still an MVP candidate?
So with, the thing with Uri is he became into a Nanu type hitter. just singles. He has a couple of doubles on the year, but that's about it. But he's batting a 600, over 600.
Nothing wrong with that.
He is definitely an MVP candidate. He's carrying that team on his back, in my opinion. And
what about the health of Saul Fallis?
They need him to be great. Saul Fallis looks injured. He just doesn't look the same. I wish all the best for him, but they're going to need Saul Fallis' bat and his defense up the middle. I mean, they're going to need that. They can't have guys hitting balls up the middle and him not being able to move right or left because of a hamstring.
Right.
They're not going to be able to get away with that. So Saul Fallis has to be big in that lineup for them to keep.
Listen, we also got to talk about Buka and Edmund.
So Buka looked really good in week 7. Buka is kind of a streaky hitter, and he needs to be big for them because he has so much speed. He hits a gap, it's a triple, it's an automatic spark plug.
He is.
In center field, his defense has been really good, closing gaps, not letting balls roll on those glove.
What we call Buka, right? The face of the franchise.
Yeah, Buka's excellent, and I'm bullish on him in the playoffs. And
One second. Again, I'm going to talk about the Night League Buka version for a minute.
Sure.
Last year with Edmund, won the World Series IDF, and he was a monster. So, to be bullish on him in the playoffs, he does rise to the occasion also. He does. We've seen it.
He does. He's getting better and better. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we talked about Buka. So overrated. Everybody picks him because he's fast. He hits too many fly balls.
He's a good player.
He's coming into his zone. It's a little late for that, but he's coming into his zone. It's not late for that because he's not even.
He's a young guy. But is it coming?
He started very early.
Let me ask you a question: is it coming into a zone or coming into his own?
Coming into his own.
His own, not his zone. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, back to the games.
So Edmund Beta, he wasn't great on Sunday. I mean, he lost 2 games. But in that third game, he showed a lot of grit. And going up against Eddie Harari, who couldn't throw a strike, Edmund, he gritted it out. He wasn't excellent, but he was very, very good.
Battled.
He stayed in the zone. Versus me, I know that he mixed it up. He threw a couple of off-speed pitches. I hit one to the fence, but hitting the ball to the fence is not going to work when they're playing you back there. I hit a ball in a big spot in that game with second and third and 2 outs. Hit a line, beautiful line drive to left field. Ellie Race made a spectacular play. By the way, Ellie Race is a guy that really, really climbed the power rankings. He got picked in the 40s.
I mean, it's not fair. He's a rookie. No one knows him. They know
him, and
but now the whole league knows him.
Right now, he's a top outfielder in the YMSL. He's a top 3 outfielder in the YMSL.
Race car, baby.
Top 3, top 4. I mean, and he really looks good. He really, really looks good. Hitting the ball hard and low, and he's probably the best left fielder in the league right now.
Wow.
He's excellent.
Wow.
So he's a guy that's really going to help him in the playoffs, for sure. Let's move on to the 61s. The 61s, as much as they're winning ball games and they're looking good and crisp, I don't know. I'm not seeing that punch that
their outfield
a World Series team has. I'm not seeing that punch. Zach and Farka really haven't been gotten going. Zach always hits over 500. He's probably hitting like a 550, but I haven't seen that major production from him.
I mean, well, I'll tell you one thing.
Farka hasn't been the same.
A playoff series starts, and David Farka explodes, and you're changing your tune. Because we know Zach's going to do Zach, and we know Farka, what he has in the tank. And we have that kid, El Bahar, that he's still playing well. It really comes down to, with their team, they're bottom of the lineup. I mean, you have guys like Kush and Mavora, they're hitting, and Cohen, he's hitting. So, they have a good team. They have a good lineup. The bottom of the lineup is doing well. And I just think if Farka becomes the MVP Farka, this team is definitely a team to be reckoned with. They're a dangerous squad.
Yes, their outfield defense is obviously really good. Simcha Adler is pitching to that defense.
Simcard
Adler. Joey Cohen's playing a great shortstop. It's funny because Jake Braha moved to short center and he's looking really good.
Jake's been great.
Yeah. Zach went out on a limb and said that he thinks he's the best short center fielder in the league. So I don't think Jake Braha is moving from short center field anytime soon. Next year he's probably going to be a short center fielder. Ralph Cohen playing a great third base and really getting clutch hits. Ike Mavora getting
So the bottom of the middle lineup
hits.
has been doing well. So now if you combine that with the top of the Farka and Z, going off,
I think the league figured out this Eli Braha kid offensively. He's a big luncher. He's a dead pull hitter. Don't throw him a fastball. Breaking balls all day, and he's popping up down the left field line.
Let's see if he adjusts.
If Eli, and they told me it's Eli, not Eli, by the way. Eli, if you're watching, stay back. Use the middle of the field because guys are starting to exploit that. I saw that Edmund Beta was throwing your changeups also. You were getting out in front. Try to stay back and trust your hands.
I'm sure Z is telling him that. I'm sure Fark is telling him that. And it's not easy for a young kid to adjust like that on the fly. So,
yes.
I mean, he is a kid after all. He did come on the scene strong, and he's still playing extremely well. Your head is out of the frame, Hank. Put it back in the frame.
Okay.
Next, you know what? Let's talk quickly about
matchups.
Before we do that, I want to talk about Mo Shama in that matchup of the Cobras. Mo Shama is
a storyline, even though the Purple Cobras were out and done. Mo Shama, going into the M&S season, is looking really strong with the bat.
He was.
I mean, if you look at his stat line, it doesn't look great since he joined the YMSL this year. He took over from MC, but week 7 he was mashing Eddie. Like, we couldn't get him out.
He was MVP.
We couldn't figure him out. Fastball, changeup, he was hitting the ball everywhere, gap to gap. He looked really good. Whoever has him, I think Sabon has him, right?
Yeah, correct.
He's a real get. At shortstop, he's looking a little slower, obviously, than what he has been doing the past 30 years. But Mo Shama, God bless you.
Hats off. And what about Jeffrey Saka? How was he in the final?
Jeffrey Saka in the final. Oh, he didn't show up.
Stop it.
No, he didn't show up.
Okay.
They're saying that he was injured, but dude, show up, dude. Show up to the game. Throw a pitch. Show that you care.
I mean, I think he cares. Come on, Jeffrey's a diehard.
Does he care? I mean,
of course he cares.
Who's going to pick him next year if they know that he's not going to show up?
I mean,
if he doesn't have the grit to show up in week 7, I mean, it's disappointing. You see that from a league veteran.
Did they have playoff chances?
No.
Okay, so they were eliminated.
Doesn't matter.
I get it. If he was a
team.
little injured and they were eliminated, I mean, what about the team they were playing against? They needed the win.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's the problem. That's the problem because it does impact standings. Playing spoiler. Okay, fine. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. And let's move on. Playoff predictions. And the playoff predictions are brought to you by G&G Realtors. Call my mom, numero uno in the business, Milo Sutton. Her phone number is 732-996-1125. One of the 5 phone numbers I know by heart in my brain. One of them being my phone number from when I was a kid on Joanna Court, which is irrelevant right now.
No one cares.
Well, anyway, it's a sponsor, and we got to thank G&G Realtors. Even if you're late to the game and you need to rent a house for the summer, I know league veteran Louis Patesh, his daughter rented a house from my mom last week. He actually told me that your mom is way cooler than you and your brother combined. I said, Louis, what is the chidush? We know this. My mom is numero uno. We love her. And also, there are gorgeous houses for sale and listings. And now, without further ado, let's get into the playoff predictions.
Okay, so let's start with the first matchup, the Sunday matchup, the wild card matchup, the thing that everybody's looking forward to. That is the Strand Oakmont versus the...
Is your brain here? What's going on here? We have
versus the Heels.
There you go. Tar Heels, Jack Abady squad, the Mensch-like squad. We're gonna call them the Devar Torahs. Right? You say they give Devar Torahs every time about each matchup.
Correct.
Going up against the Stratton squad, and who is going into this matchup hot? That's the question.
So right now, the Stratton organization, they lost 2 versus the 61s, but they won a big game versus Plakata. Plakata was bad. So was it that Stratton was great that game, or was it the Plakata that was bad? They were also missing Eric Citron, so they were coming limping in. They had an injured Salfalis in that game. Is he going to come back healthy? A lot of big question marks going into that week, going into the Sunday. The Tar Heels just look good. They won, obviously, that game 2. That was huge. Their top hitters are starting to hit. I like the Tar Heels in this matchup. I really do.
I mean, you said you tipped your hand before saying you like the Tar Heels to win it all.
So I said I am rooting for the Tar Heels to win it all. I don't think they're going to win it all. Obviously, my opinion might change after Sunday, but I think the Tar Heels will win this game, this series in 3. This wild card matchup because I think they're the hotter hand. I think Yaakov is coming into his zone. Saka is doing Saka things. Abady's really stinging the ball like he hasn't.
Well, it
been
comes
doing
down to
the first 4
usually
weeks.
these wild card
And
matchups.
JT has been hitting better.
I mean, it comes down to usually the pitching versus pitcher versus pitcher. So, if you had to make a choice of a starting pitcher going into a wild card matchup,
I would say Edmund. I would take Edmund. But I think offensively and defensively, the Tar Heels are primed to win this, to overcome that pitching deficit that they have. Saka is a bulldog, and he will be great. Jimmy is going to be a clutch performer in the playoffs, as he always is. And they're looking really good to win this.
I'll tell you one thing. You're picking the Heels.
I don't know if it's going to be a sweep. I think it's going to be a threat.
Okay, you're picking the Heels, and I see why. They do have a really, really good team. Their team is, like you said, the right guys are waking up at the right time. And that is a huge thing. However, it's tough to pick against Edmund Beta, but it's also tough to pick against Saka. So it really could go either way. Stratton has an MVP candidate in Uri. Their defense is suspect, and I think that's the deciding factor for me. Because their infield defense is not where it's supposed to be, and not where it should be, and not championship caliber, I'm going to ride the Heels like you and pick the Heels to advance, and I'm calling it in a sweep.
Okay. Does anybody care about your opinion?
Apparently not, because...
No, we didn't. Of course we care about your opinion.
Apparently not, so I won't give my opinion the next series.
Okay. Okay, then we have Big Red versus the 61s. That is the semi-finals. That's going to happen in 2 weeks from now, 2 Sundays from now. Big Red, I'm very impressed how they looked in week 7. It looks like they're coming back into their own. Again, Sammy Seruya, he's got to hit more line drives. He's an excellent shortstop. We know that. Alco looking excellent. Elsak's got to come back. He's got to come back strong. He's got to hit like he's been hitting in the first 4 weeks of the season. Bottom of the order, guys like Yogi stinging the ball. Charles Saka, batting title winner. He's got to be big there. Maxi Deed will give you 3 gritty games. He's going to be great.
Yedid's going to blank this team in the playoffs. Who are we fooling? Maxi Deed, we all know that blank him. He's coming off a very emotional time where he almost retired, as we all know.
Yeah,
and then he unretired, and he's still off the committee, so I think he has...
Committee!
I am committee.
I'm on committee.
He still has something to prove, in my opinion. The fact that don't give Yedid a chip on his shoulder. You can't do it. Because once you give Yedid something to be fiery about, he's one of those type of guys that takes that, I would say, that edge, that anger, and he utilizes it in an advantage. He utilizes it in a way where it makes him better, fuels him. Some people, they get rattled and they're off their game. He's a guy that you see him, he has that moxie and that attitude on the mound. I think he becomes a better pitcher that way. Whenever we see Yedid angry or have that little, I think he's better. And I think that's...
And a huge X factor for that team. A guy that's been to the playoffs so many times and has so much experience and can really help a guy like Maxi Deed on the mound. And that is Henry Shallon. They have Henry Shallon at third base. What a calm, cool, collected player that always comes through in a clutch spot.
Calm unless he's suspended, right?
Unless he's suspended and gets heated at AB. But other than that, having a guy like Henry in the playoffs is...
I know Henry doesn't
so
watch
big.
this because I was telling him about the show. He's like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What's the carpool?
Don't talk about me.
I said, Hen, come on the show, clear your name. Leave me out of this. I don't want another. I said, Henry, no problem. We won't talk about you. But here we are.
So I'll tell you how this can change. This narrative can change. If the 61s have Farka and Z play to the back of their baseball cards, especially in the playoffs, those guys are tremendous playoff performers. If those guys take over these games, I don't think Big Red has a shot. If Z plays Z, swimming Z, and Farka plays swimming Farka...
Now, relax. We're talking about 3 years ago, but I think you're missing a big point on this series. I think it really comes down to, I think Z and Farka are going to do Z and Farka.
Are they?
The question is, the bottom of the lineup against Yedid. Will Ike Mavora remain hot? Will...
By the way, Ike bats 4th. He's at the bottom of the order.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I thought he batted in the bottom of the order.
Yeah.
Will the bottom guys continue to hit? Well, that is really what comes down to this series. Because we know, you said, I think they're going to wake up those top guys or do what they have to do. But it's the Kushners of the world who's hitting. Is he going to continue to hit? Against Max Adida, one of his best friends. Is who else? Cohen. Is he going to continue to hit? Ralph Cohen. To me, that's going to be the deciding factor.
I think their defense
squad
is always going to be strong. It's going to be tight fought battles. But again, I think it comes down to Z and Farka. How much production are they going to give? And I think they might pull out a game, but Big Red is ultimately going to be in the World Series.
I mean, I'm all in on Big Red. I'm all in on Big Red.
I think Big Red is going to be in the World Series, and I think they're going to end up facing
12 Commandments. We saw that.
Commandments.
We saw that preview already.
Yeah. So that is your playoff preview / prediction.
And that was brought to you by the UCEF tab card. Now, the UCEF tab card, sometimes you're going to have to go outside your comfort zone because you got to be a different player sometimes. Sometimes, in order to beat a team like Big Red, you got to change up the game plan. And now, just like that, UCEF tab card, you got to make some changes sometimes, and you got to do things that sometimes is not what you're accustomed to.
Did you just tie that into softball?
Yes, we did.
You just tied a UCEF card into
The
softball?
UCEF tab, if you go outside your comfort zone, just listen.
Fine.
You could save, you will save money on your tuition. So, do it. Come on.
Unbelievable.
I don't know what you're waiting for. By the way, this card is a regular looking debit card. It attaches to your bank account. So, dude, why not? We still have some time. I don't think we have enough time for player rankings.
No.
But we have 20 minutes to go till we get to the parking lot.
Should we do top 20?
We could do top 20. Or you want to talk about some LBA stuff, and we could save the player rankings for a different show, because that could be a whole show in itself.
Yeah, I think we're going to save it for another show. It deserves a good hour in itself to go through each and every
So let's
player.
do it. I agree. I think I don't want to shortchange this player rankings. You worked way too hard. Again, there's multiple sheets. It's color-coded. Every player is going to be discussed. You're going to definitely want to tune into that episode, probably next episode. But for now, there are 2 bits of information. One on M&S. The schedule has been released.
Okay, go ahead. Talk.
Opening night is scheduled for the 18th of June, and we have the World Series rematch of Saban versus Edmund Beta. Now, those are the 2 captains, and ironically, it doesn't always work out this way. It's also going to be a rematch of the pitchers on the mound. Yitzchak Sutton versus Edmund Beta.
Very interesting.
So very interesting, a lot to talk about. But again, we're still a few weeks away from that, so I really don't want to talk too much about that matchup. I actually want to talk about what actually happened in LBA. And there's good, there's bad, and there's ugly. But in case I forget later, this LBA Hawk, as we'll call the segment, is brought to you by Bracelets and Bands. And we all know the doghouse you get yourself into playing softball. We all know that you guys are definitely not the husbands of the year as you should be. And there's one way out of that, and that is getting yourself these beautiful, let me put that close, look at that shine. Both real.
Gorgeous.
And lab grown. Both. If you want the real stuff, we have the real stuff. If you want the lab grown, there's the lab grown. If you want to buy this tennis bracelet, 15 karat, 32 pointer tennis bracelet, it's only going to cost you about $3,500 as opposed to actual mined diamond that costs you about what? Costs you about 10 grand?
It's a no-brainer. I did it for my wife. I got her stud earrings. You got to be stupid to buy natural diamonds in 2025.
But don't even say that. We also have Bracelets and Bands also has real. They're both real, but also has natural if you want, if your wife is a stickler for that. Either way, be a better husband. Buy from Bracelets and Bands. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. Hey, let's go to LBA Hawk.
I want to talk about the flowers.
Wait. Oh, my flowers? We can talk about the flowers.
Yeah.
But wait, before we talk about Rueben Bibi, who is the head of creative of this show, is the person you should talk to. But yeah, say before we talk about LBA, what do you want to talk about?
The flowers that you bought this morning for your wife.
Yes.
So you don't have to spend $3,000 on your wife to make her happy if she's upset.
My wife wasn't upset. She wasn't upset.
So today, Sam got into the car and he tells me, Hank, you have no idea. I went to get my wife some milk from the store.
Half and half for
Half and
coffee.
half for coffee. And I saw some flowers lingering on the side.
They weren't lingering. They were prominently displayed.
And seeing the picture of those flowers that were so ugly. But you know what? You know what he said to himself?
They were
He said-
$35 roses. What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
because he bought them from Lakewood grocery store.
Seasons is
but
more HL
Sammy-
than any grocery store.
Sammy, the genius that he is, thought in the back of his head, if I buy these flowers, if I make this $35 investment and buy these flowers for my wife will not pester me the entire day, and it will change my day. And it'll change her day.
Not only that, I showed you the
And
text
that's
she
what-
gave me. What was the text say? What did the text say?
That changed my day, honey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. They were gorge.
I love you,
She
honey.
said gorge.
Neil Gorge, yeah. Mag, Gorge.
Mad gorge. So yeah, that's a tip for all you husbands and boyfriends out there. Get your wife flowers. Think about her. Think outside the box.
Thursday, by the way,
I'm telling
Thursday's
you,
the day to do
it'll
that.
Go. You don't have to take her on that 10-day vacation. Just
No, flowers.
make a
but
small effort.
by the way,
even
walk-
like an Uber Eats, a small stupid.
That's what you
breakfast.
do. That's your
Yeah,
day.
that's the move.
But I'll tell you one thing. It's not just it's flowers for $30. It's taking a walk for 20 minutes. I know like that gets you crazy. That sound. You want to go for a walk with my wife? Yeah.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes,
Spend
go
some
for a
time.
walk. I promise you. That goes such a long way. And yeah, obviously buy bracelets and bands.
Buy bracelets and bands.
No question about it. But if you want some pro tips, these are some pro tips. I mean, it only took me about 18 years to learn these things, but I learned. You know, you could teach an old dog new tricks.
All right, let's get into the LBA segment.
LBA Hawk.
So LBA, this segment's going to be the road rage combined with LBA.
Wow!
Yeah.
I mean, last time I know,
Field rage.
we know
Field
that
rage.
we know that LBA, the players of LBA and the commissioners of LBA, and they're all watching this, but they won't tell anyone that they're watching this. And we know this because you have some forwarded messages from one of the stars,
So what's
Tendler,
that?
from the commissioner.
Yeah, so Eliezer Tendler texted me last week. I heard that Shimon Friedman told me that I was mentioned on the podcast. Can you tell me which podcast it is and what's the timestamp? I'm like, go screw yourself and go back and listen to every single podcast. First of all, Eliezer Tendler, listen to every single podcast. You will enjoy every single one. That's first of all. Second of all, what the hell, Shimon Friedman?
Seriously.
What the hell?
Seriously.
If you're going to tell everybody that they've been featured on our podcast, blast the freaking thing out.
He can't do it. You know why he can't do it? I think because there's other sponsors mentioned and they're not part of the LBA sponsorship family.
Ugh.
And that's what it is.
That's what it is.
I think
$1,000.
maybe. Number one, and number two is because it's not only LBA, and because it's a community style show where we're featuring every single league, I think it doesn't rub him the right way. He says, "Clip it and I'll send it." That's what he told me once. I said, "No, that's not what Carpool Chronicles is all about. We're marrying everything. It's all the same players. That's the whole idea here." I don't think he liked that idea, and too bad. We're going to continue talking because that's what we do. We talk. And whether it's positive or negative, that's what we do. We talk. And there is positive to talk about in LBA, but there is negative, and we're going to feature
another
that.
another negative about LBA. So last night we got the text, meaningful minute podcast team, which is manned by Sammy Seruya and those SY kids.
Made a nice throw, by the way, at the plate. I saw the...
Excellent play by Sammy.
Yeah.
Beat Bluestone again, 5-2. What is
That's
going?
Adler's team?
What is going on here? They lost again.
Was he playing the
They
outfield again?
lost last week, I think, in a mercy rule. Then they lost again yesterday. So I dug a little deeper, and I found out that Uri Adler was on the mound.
Oh, come on! He went... So he's Bugs Bunny. He went from shortstop...
Sam. If this was the MNS League, or
No,
the
no,
YMSL League,
it would be shut down.
is Uri Adler on the mound?
It would be shut down. Would it be in left field like last week?
I love you, Shimon Freeman and Moshe Berman. This league is becoming a laughingstock. It can't be this
Sonny,
way.
you came into the league.
It can't be this way.
You came
I'm
in...
sorry, having Uri Adler on the mound and that team losing to a team like the SY Kids, it's very disappointing, and it makes the league laughable.
So you came into this league talking it up. Our first episode of
I
Chronicles.
was very excited about it. Looking at
You were
all
saying the new
rosters.
format, Division A, 1A, 1B. It seems like if 1A is like this, what's 1B like?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't keep a finger to the pulse on those other leagues, but it's a little disappointing to see guys not showing up, LBA, lack of attendance, on teams that usually do attend in previous years.
Maybe you'll get better as the
Lack of
season
attendance
rolls. I don't know.
And just underperformance.
No, I
Like,
think
from my perspective, our team is 2-0. We beat Nutty's team by a mercy rule. By the way, Nutty's team picked up huge. This is a huge.
Oh, it's a big story, by the way.
Big story. Nutty's team, MBM, picked up Max Yedid and took their pitcher and threw him off of the truck.
Threw him to the curb.
Threw him to the curb.
Who was their pitcher?
Aaron Gordon.
He was pretty good, Gordon.
Hazit, the guy. They took him and chucked him.
And now where's Gordon playing? Is
And
he
you know
off
what?
the
Their
team?
defense was dreadful. Stephen Gindy was terrible.
Whoa.
Stephen Gindy at shortstop that day, it was like, wow, is this the same Stephen Gindy? Is this a clone? What is going on here? He made a couple of bad errors, maybe 3.
He hasn't been playing
And
spring,
then
so
he
maybe
left,
this is his spring
and then he
training.
left the middle of the game because they were down like 15 runs.
Well, he left.
And I called him out. I'm like, Steve, where you going? You can't leave in the middle of a game just because your team is getting smashed.
He went to Gladbach?
He claimed that he was going to Brooklyn. So okay, we'll give him a pass. But that team defensively did not look good. That was not all on Aaron Gordon. I'm sorry. Plus Salasis was ridiculous that game. We spoke about this.
Right, you shut him out. Right, he was actually good.
So yeah, so they have Max Yedid now. I think Max Yedid is going to show up to most of those games.
So the question is, what's Max Yedid going to do now? If he's the official
Max
pitcher,
Yedid right now is all in on softball.
right,
Everything's
we
softball.
understand that, but I'm saying
M&S, YMSL,
Good.
LBA,
So
Marine
now-
Park, Cyclones,
well,
baby.
there's going to be a time in like 3 weeks or so where he's going to have 3 leagues simultaneous. He's going to be probably in the World Series, in YMSL, or at least in the semis, and M&S is starting in 2 weeks.
Right.
And he's going to have an LBA thing to worry about. Do they have a backup pitcher, or are they going to like throw
Yeah.
another?
I don't think they threw Aaron Gordon off the team. He's just not pitching another pitch. If Max Yedid shows up, or this guy Applebaum is able to come in from the 5 towns or wherever he's coming from. So that's the story with that team. So now they have a shot. I mean, having Max Yedid on the mound with that team, they have a lot of firepower offensively with guys like Tendler and Nutty and Barry and a lot of boppers on that team. So they have a shot. They have a shot. I mean, right now the team to beat is Premier Events with Hank, Jimmy, and crew.
But the sad part of it is that's not even the storyline of the league, of these teams that are actually playing and have the ability to win. It's the teams that are not caring, the teams that are not showing, the teams that are not taking it seriously. That's the problem.
I hope as the season goes on, this will change. Guys will get more involved and show up more, but a little disappointing, and also a lot of rainouts.
Yeah, that always hurts.
So they had a big cancellation last week, like a very late cancellation.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Guys
Because
came to the field.
Yeah.
This is Sammy Seruya's squad. They were supposed to play his place, I think. They all came to the field,
and the kids played that earlier in the day.
and the fields were not playable. And Shimon and Berman did not call the games off. And basically what they did was they had to buy off the players and send them to Bun. I think Shimon gave them the credit card.
No, he gave them
What was
the
the story?
Midos cards.
Gave them the hot dog Midos
The
card.
$5 Midos cards. They give you a hot dog and a
Hey,
and a
take
drink.
this Midos card. And they went to Bun, and that wasn't good. But credit to Shimon, he sent out a memo to the league that he apologized. It won't happen again. But that was bad. I mean, the league is off. It's off to a bad start in terms of attendance and cancellations, but I think the ship will get back on course.
I mean,
I think it'll be better.
There's only one way up at this point, so it has to.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that rounds it all up. I think we'll talk more about M&S in the coming weeks when the season starts getting
wait.
rolling.
Can't wait for that. We'll have guests.
Yeah, once the summer
guests.
starts, that back seat will be full daily.
Yes.
So, and we already have a whole lineup of guests. But just to preview our next episode, which will be airing on Monday, we will be going
Don't show
through
the content.
I'm not showing anything, but we have plenty of content to talk about. Every player rankings. We even could save that for the off season, but I think let's go start Monday.
I think next episode we're going to put that out.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. That's going to be big. That's going to be big. And I don't want to hear it from any of you, yeah?
Like
Okay,
what?
so I'm talking about you. And it might be negative, but I'm not talking about your personal life.
Right.
I'm not talking about your family. I'm talking about you as a softball player. And if you can't handle
Fair game.
If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Whoa!
Get out of the kitchen.
Get out of the kitchen. Either way, it's been fun. It's been real. I hope this episode goes over well. And until next time, let the
Carpool Chronicles. Carpool Chronicles. With Hank.
And thank you to our sponsors. Let it roll.
Everyone loves some juicy SY softball hecky. It will only happen on Chronicles with Hank. Everyone's waiting for the next episode. It will only happen when we are in the car. Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles, Carpool Chronicles.
Hank first pitch to lead 8-3. Over. Hank to left.
How you doing? I'm Milo, Sutton, G&G Realtors. I support M&S Baseball League from before you're born. I'm here for commercial, residential real estate.
Introducing the UCEF Tab Card, a smart way to turn everyday spending into tuition support.